So what are the challenges media agencies or media agency groups are going through right now due to the pandemic?
I think it's straightforward. There is a huge slash down in advertising budgets that's come through. And obviously that's putting pressure on the economies within the agencies. Obviously, there is pressure to let go of people. As a network, as GroupM, we are trying to hold on as much as we can. We have hardly had any cuts in the headcount. And the primary reason is we have managed to have a voluntary salary service cuts for 3 months, only for the senior management. A vast majority, almost 550 odd people have been spared from any cut in salaries. The question is, how long can you sustain? And if the market doesn't take a U-turn and go up or take a V-shape and rise rapidly, you can't continue having an organization that's going to get into a red. So those are the real issues that the agencies currently face, because your primary asset are the people and the talent that you have. And therefore, how do you manage to ensure that the stars stay? And if a person leaves, there are no jobs available in the region. And that's across most industries. And these are the tough measures that one needs to take to see how can you sustain right through the storm. And therefore, you are able to pick up when the market resurges again. That's the hope that we have.
What are the challenges clients are facing right now due to the pandemic?
I think multiple fold. There are few clients who have actually capitalized in a positive way to look at how can we grow the business. Take, for example, Henkel. The laundry business has grown significantly, over 5.5% during the first quarter of this year. And the reason is very simple, and it's growing even more because suddenly during the COVID situation, giving it to a laundry proved to be a very scary situation. A lot of laundry did close down outside. So home usage of the laundry detergents actually picked up and they are able to grow. I think the same case with P&G and Unilever, where they have actually invested a lot more and they are continuing to grow the business because there are certain basic necessities that you can't escape. And these are things that have really picked up with the right messaging. Bigger issue for clients is also the question of supply line choke-up. If you are importing goods from other countries, and if you haven't had a proper supply chain in play, within a month, when you get blocked in terms of availability of stocks, it makes no sense for you to advertise or do the marketing push because the demand is there, but the product is not around. And this has been a major issue for few clients that are importing into this region. And the third one is very simple. Again, declining volume and value sales. Similar to agencies, they are also under financial squeeze. And this is one thing that every company tries to look on a quarter by quarter basis, try to sustain and see how to manage to get away from this. Take, for example, the beverages, the colas. They really took a hit because the consumption factor actually reduced dramatically because people were looking for basic necessities, and these other stuff were actually more than the want. It became a question of a luxury at a point in time when everyone is trying to save money. Obviously, the volumes dropped, the value sales dipped, and the advertising stopped. So these are unique situations.
A lot of digital transformation has taken place recently. How has this affected the way you do business?
I think we have already been consulting for quite a few clients of ours in terms of digital transformation from the media side of the business. Because when you say digital transformation, it involves touching people within the organization, touching the processes within the organization, the IT factor, as well as the marketing advertising factor. We obviously look at some of these, but definitely give consulting ability to look at what kind of a DMP one needs to use. And therefore, how can they manage the data right without violating any rules, following within the guidelines, and getting a transformative return to the business. Now, the bigger chunk is quite a few FMCG companies which were actually lagging behind. There were always some players who had been the first to get on the business and they did well. But these small clients actually started focusing on the website as a starting platform, own media to make it right. And now you see the e-commerce solutions across the region has really picked up. It's reached a stage now, even markets like Egypt and Tunisia, there is a huge demand for e-commerce linked performance marketing, and it's working great. So agencies, especially us as a network, we are offering a lot more value into this business because quite a few other entities, take automotive, take airlines, take telcos, were already up ahead in this game. It's a matter of time before what the learnings that you pick up from one can get transferred into another industry, and it's working very well. So to me, it's an important sales platform. Some clients have done exceedingly well. One of our clients, Fine Hygienic Holding, has actually capitalized because the way they were going into the paper business, both in tissues as well as diapers, the natural choice was to say, why can't we look at the mass? And there was a short supply. They quickly reorganized, got themselves into N95 mass, fine mass, which is now recognized globally, and they are exporting quite a bit as well as marketing it locally in a big way. Huge turnaround, huge spin around, but there was an empathy towards why they wanted to do this. And they actually stopped some of the other supply lines to ensure this comes in play. And these are people who have really done well. So to me, there are quite a few examples of clients who have capitalized on the situation. And I think that's the right way to go. And some have miserably failed. They thought not advertising is going to save money, but eventually in midterm, it's going to cause even more trouble. Take Pizza Hut as an example, right? Part of Yum Group worldwide as well as in this region, our client. Earlier, the delivery, dine-in was the biggest part of the component of the volume contribution. And then what happened, takeaway and deliveries were a significant one they were trying to go. Now, delivery is practically 90% plus. In fact, some markets it's 100%. Therefore, one of the biggest elements of surprise is that how can they capitalize on contactless marketing? And that's been a great success story, whether you take it from the US or all the way to Saudi Arabia. I think these are clients who actually adapted to the situation, never took it lying down, innovated. The company culture helped a lot, empathizing with people as very, very important, and even with colleagues and others. And I think these things, they even have a Brave Heart Award. Anyone who can help go out of the way to support a colleague or a consumer as well. I think these things make a big difference, and they have actually started growing back again very, very sharply and quickly. I think the best part is every company, every industry has, when you are under constraint, you always want to innovate. And I think that's what this COVID has done. But nobody expected this to last beyond 3 months. And we don't know when it's going to really end, or it may never end. So the whole idea is you got to innovate, you got to be adaptive, you got to be agile, and you got to ensure you're empathetic to your consumers. And therefore, you don't get offended and thrown out by the consumers who are actually in need of you or not in need of you. That's where the important element of marketing comes in play.
So what's your outlook for the economy for the rest of the year, and by when do you think the industry and the economy will stabilize?
I think no sane person can actually do a forecast of how and when it's going to happen, but I can go only by the intent that exists. The first quarter was really good in terms of advertising and marketing industry. Everything was normal. March, late March, it started, the fear factor of the COVID actually started hitting in. If I look at the second quarter of this year, has been a dramatic decline, both in terms of ad spends to others. And if you realize in our region and in Saudi, the last 4 months of the year, back to school period from September to December, are the real peak periods. I wish Saudi, by opening up slowly now, gradually, is going to ensure that the marketing and the sales actually pick up for every single entity. And if that happens, even then, this year we will end up with a 25% drop in ADEX versus a year ago. Last year was $2.7 billion for the full MENA region. This year we will end up at just about $2 billion. Obviously, $1 billion more that goes into Google, Facebook, and all paid social, which is done directly by small and medium enterprises or even individuals directly. That's not counted. So if you look, it's a significant drop of $700 million decline. And next year, we expect a resurgence in terms of ADEX, but to an extent of 13%. And year after 2022, it's also the World Cup year. We see a dramatic spike in numbers coming back to a level of normalcy. So whichever way you look at it, it's going to take 18 months to 24 months for the market to really come back to its normal phase. But it's a matter of how speed and how fast the acceleration can happen. And if these 4 months of this year are anything to go by, I think we will find a good upswing next year. To me, it is a matter of we got to be there. We have already adapted tremendously. Our technology and systems have been the most single largest investment factor we are looking at, because remote working has really helped. And I've been a skeptic before of flexi time because I always thought people will never be truthful. But I can say very confidently after this 3 months, flexi time works. People take responsibility for themselves because there has been a fear of, will I remain in my job? Will my position be relevant? But I think the good part is a vast majority are very time conscious, actual work conscious, and therefore it has worked tremendously. For me, I don't see the reason as to why we need to have 100% of the people sitting in a physical office henceforth. Yes, social camaraderie is a must. You miss sometimes social interaction because we are humans at the end of the day. But I see there is a good chance you can actually shrink your physical headcount by 50% in an office. You can have a hot desk so people can rotate and have a great work-life balance the way they want to make it work. So I see there are big advantages we have got into. The markets hopefully will speed up. I think both UAE and Saudi are the two biggest markets. Qatar in a way, and Egypt is like a sleeping giant. It is about to be waken up once the COVID passes. I think so. We have a good system in play. The question mark is, we hope there is no resurgence of COVID 2.0. And we have heard of stories in China, parts in Australia, now in parts of Europe. And I think if the current government, the way it is and the way they are able to manage at least the systems within this region, we should be fine, and we should come back into a U-shaped recovery, if not a V-shaped recovery, that one suspects that's what we want.
So does that mean that you're going to have new working policies at GroupM in the future?
In fact, it's already happened, right? So even when take, for example, in UAE, we have a 100% back to work policy, but we are not forcing anyone. Our actual number of people in office is less than 20-25% at any given point in time, and it doesn't matter. The work still carries on. So yes, the policies have changed, and I think the good ones will be kept. Some of the bad ones will be eliminated, and we continue to adapt. That's what we will do as GroupM. And we are very confident of Saudi as an economy because in 2 to 3 years, we are actually thinking of moving the headquarters to Riyadh, because that's where the consumers are, and that's the single largest market for us from all angles and to our clients. And that's our plan.